let me ask you this. What does Joe Milton right now, January the 23rd, 2023, do better than Nico, especially after what you saw on Friday? So hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Brought to you in part by Zach England of Best and Brock. Zach's got your back. Zach England is phenomenal with Best and Brock. He'll stand toe-to-toe with those insurance company attorneys, and he will get you results and get you paid because they're going to do their best not to give you what your accident was actually worth. I promise you that. Zach England of Best and Brock. Zach's got your back. Tell me one thing other than arm strength. I'm taking that off the table, okay? It's kind of like when I play Trivial Pursuit. I take arts and literature off the board. We're not playing arts and literature. We're playing all the other ones. Other than just pure raw arm strength, I can throw it through a brick wall. What does Joe Milton right now do better than Nico based off what you saw? And I've watched a lot of tape based off what you saw on Friday and what you think he will be by August.
There's one thing I would say, but it's so minuscule that it wouldn't win Joe Milton the job, which is I know you said Nico's faster. A lot of Josh Heupel's designed runs for quarterbacks are north-south runs, and Joe Milton, I would assume, is a better north-south runner just because he's so much bigger that, Nico is going to have to be a horizontal runner, basically. He's not going to be able to do some of those runs that Hendon Hooker can do yet. He probably will in a year, but he's not going to be able to do those runs by next year.
Travis hinted at one, which is the same thing you're saying. No, he's not going to truck some incredible defensive lineman in his freshman year, but he may never do that, okay? But what he is going to do is have better speed on the outside, and I think he's going to be a better natural runner. And I know Joe Milton is this physical freak and everything, but I see him, Caleb, as a straight line guy that he's going to truck you and might outrun you. I see Nico as a more elusive guy when he is out there, and I don't think this is going to be that close. I think when it gets to August, it's not going to be that close. I think it's going to be Nico's job. And whether or not you want this to be a factor, and God, I hope it's not, because I absolutely love college football, and it's getting too businesslike for me. There is a monster NIL deal that is going to have to be satisfied at some point.
Yes, there is. That's a good one. But, again, I don't think the NIL deal is not satisfied if Nico sits behind Milton for a year and then starts in 2024. I don't think the people who threw that money at him are going to be that upset. They just want to make sure he eventually does start. But you're right. Nico's ability, I guess the best way, guys, I'm not saying he's this quarterback. Do not accuse me of doing this. Please, no commenters, don't accuse me of this. I am saying that his mobility reminds me a little bit of prime Aaron Rodgers mobility, where it's more able to horizontally move in the pocket and can run when needed. He's as opposed to trucking guys. And so I am with you with that on Nico.
Well, he keeps his eyes downfield.
Yes.
The thing. And I thought Hendon Hooker at times was guilty of this. And it's partly because of the way the offense is built. And that is you want to read that safety and make sure you get that read right. But I thought there were times with Hooker, and I think there are going to be times with Milton. I've already seen some of it where it's kind of stare down your receiver. Now, that's part of the offense, and I get all that. But I'd be careful with that. And I just think Nico is not just based off what I've seen Friday, but based off a lot of the things that I've heard. I just going to tell you, I'm not surprised if he starts in August. I would be surprised if he doesn't overtake Joe Milton by the end of August, and they have that. By end of September, and they go into that bye week in October. I'm just telling you how I feel. And listen, I may be in the minority. I haven't talked to other reporters about this. These are my thoughts. Ryan said, Dave, you're way ahead of what's going to happen. Joe will start and finish the season. Nico will redshirt and take us to the promised land. Ryan, buddy, I love you, man. I love you for being on this show, and I love your input. And most people agree with you. But I'm going to stick by what I said. And if I'm wrong, I've still got some Hooker T-shirts laying around. You hit me up, and I'll take care of you. And listen, I say all this as a good thing for those that are like, oh, Dave's saying Joe Milton can't play. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I think Nico is going to be the better option.
You also have to remember, though, that, like, look, there's going to be a bias with Heupel to Joe Milton. Whether or not a coach should do that or not, he convinced Milton to stay. Milton stayed around. He already was preferential to Milton, and I think he thinks it's worth it to start him this year because of Milton having the locker room. And also there is a coach credibility thing that I do think becomes a factor in recruiting. I mean, we know that there were – look, we talked about it, must have been 2 weeks ago, you know, just from the perceived unfairness to CJ Leak, Fulmer lost out on Chris Leak in 2004, 2005.
Well, and CJ Leak is a very similar player to Joe Milton, quite frankly. They both have heavy feet. They both have a labor delivery. I thought about that over the weekend, too.
Yeah, and cannons for arms. But because CJ Leak had a cannon for an arm, too, I think. Would
you rather have the guy that's light on his feet and can move around and can read a defense better? Travis says Dave's still in a bad mood from last night. Travis, I'm not. I think this is a good thing for Tennessee's program. I can't understand how this is being taken. Why is this being taken as a negative, Caleb? I'm telling Tennessee fans, you have a player that is so special based off what I've heard, and I talked to a lot of people, and based off what I saw on Friday night, and I know that's high school competition, I'm just telling you, you already knew you had something special. Are you just going to sit there and let it sit under the Christmas tree when everybody's giving you a hint and wait for 2024 to roll around? To heck with that.
I mean, no, I'm with you on that. Look, like I said, Nico, when we talk about quarterbacks created in a lab for a system, you would think Josh Heupel created Nico in a lab and then recruited him because he's literally designed to run Josh Heupel's system more than any quarterback you will ever see. I mean, I'll go out and say it. Nico is going to be the best quarterback Josh Heupel ever had at Tennessee. There's not going to be, no matter how long Josh Heupel is at Tennessee, there is not going to be a quarterback that's better than Nico was at Tennessee because I've seen enough film and I know Josh Heupel's system. You don't get quarterbacks like that can run that system that well. And the system's easy to run, but it's easy to run, and then it's tailor-made for Nico's style of play. You're going to see by the time Nico's career is done, every Peyton Manning record is going to be broken at Tennessee. I'm already saying that now. But that doesn't mean – I don't know if that means he's going to start this year.
I like what David said. I like Milton, but whoever wins the job. Amen. I'm sorry Tennessee would have been pretty good with Brandon Stewart if they picked him over Peyton Manning, which was a real debate at the time. It was 60-40 Peyton. Okay, I mean, there was a real contention out there that wanted Brandon Stewart. They made the right call. It was a choice between two good options, and I think that's where Tennessee is right now. But I believe the better option by October will be a man named Nico, not Joe.
Quick hot take. They also made the right call doubly because Brandon Stewart then went to Texas A&M and saved them from having to play Kansas State in the national title game in '98, who Tennessee would have lost to, not because Kansas State was better talent-wise, but because John Chavis was a deer in headlights defending the triple option.
Sam said it can only be proved on the field. Right now, it seems like speculation to draw viewers. No, that you don't know my career, Sam. I'm just going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you that Jeremy
Arrogance right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's me. I'm just going to tell you that Jeremy Banks should have been asked to leave the program, regardless of whether or not he wanted to return. Maybe that's unpopular. I mean, I'm not trying to drive viewers. I've never had a problem with that because I tell you what I think, and I'll tell you if I'm wrong in October. So, nice try, Sam. We've seen that before, but that's not the direction I'm going.